So I also looked at the AFC's press conference. I know the AFC has a running battle with its former second-tier leader, Lennox Craig, who is a Chronicle columnist, and he also is a co-host on the Freddie Kissone show. And now the AFC, through probably Dr. Vincent Adams, has fired back at Leonard Craig, questioning his qualifications. I knew Craig did a course, I don't know if it's master's or his doctorate in China. And Craig has already replied in a not too in a hostile manner to his AFC comrades, so there seems to be a tit for tat. Anyhow, the head table, it was Beverly Alert, the moderator, and Nigel HUGH, as well as Laura George. Anyhow, the reporter was asking or inquiring from Nigel about seeing that he's running for office, if he will still address the oil and gas sector in terms of matters that may be a concern to the public. Nigel told the reporter in the first place, the AFC, his party, has to give him the go-ahead to run for office, and right now that has not been fleshed out. So he's technically saying that he doesn't know if he's going to be the presidential contender for the AFC, but most of us know that he is the most likely choice. So I guess he's just playing semantics. So the reporter asked him in terms of, okay, so what happens if you're elected? Nigel says that if he's elected, he will give up his job at the law firm of HUGH, Fields and Stobie. He's also saying that for now, because he is still Exxon's lawyer, for now he will not answer any questions in terms of oil and gas. He will refer the question to two of his party comrades. That's former environmental minister, Dr. Vince Adams, who worked in the United States for a number of years, I think 30 years in one of those departments, and the former minister, David Patterson. Those are the two gentlemen that will be answering any questions concerning the oil and gas sector. So says the party leader, Nigel. There were also some other matters. I could remember a reporter asked him about the upsurge in crime and what is the views about the upsurge in crimes among youths. One of the things he proposes is to bring back national service in Guyana, but he's saying that bringing back national service will be on a voluntary basis. He feels that the youth of them, their energy should be channeled in a disciplined arena like the national service. I know that national service is quite controversial among segments of the Guyanese society, but you can look at the video right about now to hear what Nigel has to say.
Quickly, Mr. Musa.
My final question. Mr. Hughes, given that you are in the race for public office...
Sorry, can you start again? The volume was down on this line.
Start over for us, please.
Sure. Given that you're in the race for public office, do you intend to address issues of oil and gas at any time? Or would you always adopt the approach of referring those questions to other persons because of what you deemed allegations against you? And do you believe this would justify claims of your legal association with ExxonMobil?
Sorry, I missed the very first part. I heard the rest of it, so I thought you said given something.
Given that you're in the race for public office, do you intend to address issues of oil and gas at any time?
Oh, okay.
Or would you... All right.
No, sorry, thank you very much. And I will just repeat what I'd said before. The Alliance for Change will determine who is running for public office for the Alliance for Change in the presidential position, and I have not yet been so appointed, or I may not be appointed by the Alliance for Change. So that's the first thing in terms of running for office. In relation to the question of oil and gas and the relationship that my firm enjoyed with Exxon, forgive me if I'm repeating this. I've said very clearly that I will not touch oil and gas question during the campaign. Dr. Adams and Mr. Patterson will do that. Once I am elected, I am severing my relationship with Hughes, Fields and Stobie because I cannot be a practicing lawyer and also be president. So there's no way I would be in Hughes, Fields and Stobie. Secondly, this position is not unprecedented. Barbados had this identical situation with a gentleman called Mr. Thompson, now deceased, who was a lawyer of some repute, who became prime minister. And of course you have to sever the relationship you have with the entity that you worked with before. I certainly won't be directing government work to Hughes, Fields and Stobie if that is what you're concerned about. The firm is 54 or 55 years old. It was there before I got there, and it probably, hopefully, will be there long after I leave it. So just to address that question, if and when I am elected to office, whether that is president or any other office, I certainly would be in a position to speak specifically on oil and gas because I have views on it like everybody else. I am constrained because I don't want a distraction to become that any comment I make is based on the fact that is located within the conflict of interest. So at this point, but absolutely certainly, it is clear that for the future development of this country for the next 15 years, the primary source of income is going to be the sale of oil, and the primary source of cheap electricity is going to be the supply of gas. There's no way you cannot have a position on that. I dare say if I am fortunate enough to be elected, I will be removed from allegations of conflict of interest and from the responsibility of managing Hughes, Fields and Stobie, because that relationship will be fully severed, and I would be prepared and will contribute to discussions on that. But I want to make the most fundamental point about oil and gas. And I'm happy you have afforded me this opportunity. This is the most complex political industry on the planet. And there's no opinion from any single individual, I don't care what level they are, or what level I may be at, that should ever be allowed to hold sway. The future of this country should be dependent on the construction and building of institutions like national development institutions, petroleum commissions, which are very well financed, where they pay top international dollar so that we can have the best global experts gather and analyze the industry of oil and gas. It is also the most dangerously political industry on the planet. So we need to be able to have and afford to buy the best political skills and advice that we can buy globally and not assume that they are within the boundaries of this country to advise us as to how we can navigate that industry. We all have seen what happened in Iraq. It is not very difficult for someone to create a problem on our western border, and then we will be spending a lot of resources attempting to deal with that. And we have to understand that the league that we're playing in has changed. And it requires the best finance, because the persons who are not necessarily your friends, or those that pretend to be your friends but are really your frenemies, they can afford the best advice in the world in terms of how they can harm and hurt you. And it would really be highly irresponsible for us as a country to think that one single individual or one single cabinet is capable of analyzing all the scenarios and all the threats that we face. So if I am ever lucky to be in government to be able to persuade the decision makers, it would be that we should spend our money developing the institutions and the capacity of those institutions, that they hire the best and the brightest so that this population can be served by the best possible combination of intellect and experience in relation to those industries. And finally, in that regard, we have lost our best and continue to lose our best and brightest graduates, whether they come from University of Guyana, wherever they go, and young people don't want to stay in Guyana. The only way we will begin to have a chance of surviving as a country is if we create the environment in which young people feel that it is better to stay in Guyana than to go somewhere else. And that's where we should be spending our time and effort.
Thank